Alrighty, we're doing Neptunia again.
Woo!
Remember this whole shebang from Winter Quarter, if you were there. This one's about the games this time. All of them. A bit of a preface. So, Neptunia is a parody of the real-life video game industry, and it takes place in a land called, you guessed it, game industry. It's split into 4 kind of countries, each one ruled by goddesses or CPUs. Planet Toon is ruled by Neptune and Netgear and represents Sega. Last Station is ruled by Noir and Uni, and it represents Sony and PlayStation. Louis is ruled by Blah and Rom and Ram, and they represent Nintendo. And Leanbox is ruled by Bear, and they represent Microsoft/Xbox. And I may use the terms goddess and CPU interchangeably because the localization team started phasing out the latter, but they both refer to the same characters. Anyways, game number 1, HyperDimension Neptunia for the PlayStation 3. This game starts off with the 4 goddesses fighting in a console war, and Neptune gets defeated and falls from the sky because they were fighting up there. And so the now amnesiac Neptune finds 2 friends, and together they go around and try to get Neptune's memories back and save the world or whatever. The villain is R4, who is a representation of video game piracy. And if you happen to be familiar with the Nintendo DS piracy scheme at all, you'd recognize that name.
No, definitely not. No one here's a criminal, haha.
It's kind of interesting it's PlayStation only.
Yeah. So this game has a few different endings. No bad endings, but like some normal endings and a true ending. And if you got attached to the story at all, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's not really part of the main canon. The creators didn't think that it would be popular enough to warrant a sequel, so they gave it kind of a conclusive ending. And so that's where we get into this. This series has different worlds and timelines, which are known as dimensions. And so the main timeline this series takes place in is, well, the HyperDimension. But the first game takes place in the Super Dimension. And the game with the title Super Dimension in the title does not take place in the Super Dimension. Have fun. Okay, we go on to Neptunia Mark II. And so the last game was consoles versus piracy. This one's handhelds versus piracy. And so the story for this one is that the 4 goddesses are defeated and captured. And so Netgear, who's Neptune's little sister, goes with Neptune's friends to gather the other CPU candidates, rescue their big sisters, defeat piracy, and save the world. And it has one of my favorite villains in the series by far, CFW Brave. He's just a walking Brave reference.
So cool.
He's great. This game also has multiple endings, and its bad ending is particularly infamous, which is known as the Conquest ending. And so the best way to describe it without going into spoilers too much, it's basically Undertale's genocide route.
Oh.
Interesting.
You can kill consoles?
You can smash your laptop?
Neptunia Victory. This game introduces a new dimension that references the first generations of each consoles, which is known collectively as the Ultra Dimension. The main villain references Atari and the video game crash of 1983. I didn't play this game yet, so have a summary. Neptune finds herself thrown into an alternate game industry known as the Ultra Dimension. She meets the counterparts of the CPUs from her own dimension and assists them in dealing with the 7 sages and eventually saving both of their worlds. From the Neptunia wiki. And then the 4th mainline game is HyperDimension Neptunia V2. Victory 2, not 7. This game is largely considered a peak in the series by far. It is separated into 3 different games, but brought into one large game. Thus, it takes place in 3 different dimensions, one for each segment of the game. This game has references to the history of the Dreamcast and Sega's downfall in the console space, as well as the 8th generation of consoles as upgrade forms. Like, well, no, that's not an example. Anyways, this game introduces the Gold Third. Yes, I know there are 4 of them. There's a 5th one in a later game. Don't worry about it. So that's all the main lines. Remakes.
Oh god.
Basically, the remakes modified the stories and the battle systems. Rebirth 1, 2, and 3 streamlined the battle system and made it consistent. And all 4 games modified the stories like getting rid of Nisa and Gus to rest in peace.
Oh, Nisa!
And so for V2R, if you might have guessed from the letters V and R, it also has this. Mom came inside my room while I was using the VR mode. She stared for a while and then said, "At least you're talking to a girl now," and then left the room. 10 out of 10. Would make her proud again. Now we're going into spin-offs. These spin-offs are probably canon. All of them take place after V2. First we have HyperDimension Neptunia, 4 Goddesses Online. They play an MMO, and then they save it from a hacker. That's about it. Neptunia Sisters vs. Sisters has Netgear and her friends waking up to their world being ravaged by monsters, and Neptune's missing again. So they journey to fix everything. And this game references the effects the mobile gaming industry has on the handheld gaming industry.
Oh.
And the last one, Neptunia Game Maker Revolution, features older Neptune, or Ultra Dimension Neptune, going to another world and meeting the 3 failed goddesses there. And together they strive to make a successful game company. And then here are the non-canon spin-offs.
Oh.
Lightning Round, HyperDimension Neptunia Producing Perfection. You manage the 4 goddesses and make them idols.
Oh.
HyperDevotion
Idol
Noir,
Master.
Goddess Blackheart. It's an SRPG featuring Noir. HyperDimension, I haven't started that game. Anyways, HyperDimension Neptunia U, Action Unleashed, is not on the Wii U. It's
What?
on PS Vita. That game, I also haven't exactly started yet, but it's a hack and slash that takes place in a world similar to the very first game. HyperDimension Blonde plus Neptune versus Zombies features Blonde as the protagonist. It's also a hack and slash. It takes place in a school life setting called Game Academy, and there just so happens to be zombies attacking, and so they're filming a movie while defeating the zombies. Super Dimension Neptune versus Sega Hard Girls does not have Neptune as the protagonist. It features the collaboration with the Sega Hard Girls, which is Sega's attempt at turning their consoles into cute anime girls. Super Neptunia RPG is a 2D RPG made by a non-Japanese studio called Artisan. Neptunia Virtual Stars is a game that features fictional VTubers and tried to capitalize on the VTuber craze by having a bunch of actual VTubers show up as well. It's part shooter, part hack and slash. Neptunia Cross Senran Kagura Ninja Wars is a collaboration between Neptunia and Senran Kagura and takes place in the world of Game Ninja Street. It's non-canon to either. And then Neptunia Riders vs. Dogus just kind of has Uzume riding a motorcycle and rounding up Dogus. That game's not out yet here. Shmups, they just exist. They're kind of just sort of extra games. Neptunia Shooter is a 2D left to right shmup, and Dimension Tripper Neptune Top Map is a shmup in the style of Space Harrier. Gambling! If you like gacha games, I have good news for you. We have Neptunia Collection, NetNet Connect, Chaos Champuru, and Mega Miracle Force, all 3 of which are gacha games, with the last one being a celebration of all of Idea Factory's properties. And probably one of my favorite designs in the series as a whole came from these games, which is Purple Sister V. Now, if you don't like gambling, I also have if you don't like gachas, I also have good news for you. All 3 of these games are dead. Next is Neptunia and Friends, as well as Mainichi Compile Heart. They're basically the same thing, but the second one is the Japanese version and is still being updated. It's a glorified alarm clock with interactable characters that you can buy outfits for. The reason why it's in the gambling tab is because you can also just kind of, there's a mini game where you gamble with them.
Great, 3 minutes.
And then that's it.
Oh, okay.
This one's for you, Chloe. Happy holidays, everyone. And since we have 1 minute and 38 seconds of extra time, who here knows Xander Mobus?
Oh, me?
Yeah!
As you can see, I am but a humble fish.
I know.
Thank you for taking care of Uzume. Happy birthday. I know it isn't much, but please allow me to celebrate with you.
This guy you might be able to guess represents
Christmas,
Seaman.
is it?
Play Seaman for the Sega Dreamcast.
Not at all. Would you like some champagne?
If you need a totally legal way to play Seaman, DM me.
It's mysteriously wonderful how this hustle and bustle becomes enjoyable when it's with you. Happy New Year. I'm thankful from the bottom of my heart that I may spend another year with you. Let's put aside the question of why I'm giving chocolate to you. Would you please accept it? It's slightly bitter chocolate that utilizes organic, fair trade cacao. Delicious. I'm not very fond of speaking ill of a person, but if I may be honest, you have the face of a deep-sea fish. However, your heart is as small as a plankton.
Damn.
You're a creature more lowly than an amoeba.
Yeah, that sounds like Seaman.
You're curious if I breathe with lungs or with gills. That's a secret. If you really wish to know, would you be so kind as to tell me one of your secrets? Do I love Uzume, you ask? I cannot say. These feelings have long since transcended beyond such meager words.
Beautiful.
He's hot.
What?
Sorry. What? I didn't say that.
My son?